the BTS behind the scenes on TikTok and Instagram and here.
And we live. And we actually live. We're actually live.
What's up, YouTube?
What's up, everybody? What's
doing?
up, everybody? This is Shannon and Shirley on My Marriage is Dope podcast, coming to you with another episode. This is episode 14. What it do, everybody?
14?
What it do? Episode 14. Like, we should be right. We're just like the little engine that could. Yeah. We should be like at episode like 36 or 56.
Yes.
But it's episode 14. Okay. So we are here and we are excited. Jake, she was about to go in. We are here. I am your host, one of your hosts, Coach Shannon. I don't even know. Yo, Shan, they call me Big Shan.
Big Shan.
Big Bro.
What is Silverback?
Silverback. Unk, AKAs. I got my AKAs. Yes, and then we got Coach Shirley Austin, AKA.
Jersey.
AKA.
Queen Mother Ray.
AKA. AKA, this chick is crazy. We are back for another episode, and we are excited. Make sure that you are clicking that bell notification and you are subscribing to the channel. Come on over. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, come on over to YouTube. And ingest this very same, because you're not going to be able to stay with us the entire episode. So we usually let y'all go about a third of the way through. Mm-hmm. And so we will do that same thing today. How you doing, little mama?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
What got you doing good? What's good about you?
A good day. God's been helping me figure out some things with Marriage Inc. and Wife U and just some ideas, and I'm always ready to just get going.
Right. You to the moon these days. That's not normally you, but you really like to
listen. My clock is ticking, Doc.
What clock?
I'm on the other side of the door.
What door?
Yeah, the door to heaven.
Oh, well, if you're on the other side of the door, what am I on?
On the other side of the door.
I don't know what you talking about. Oh, my goodness.
On the other side of the door, I ain't got time.
Listen. Make sure you also stick around long enough for the Q&A segment. That is, seems to be something that people love the most, where you get to either send in your question. You didn't bring your question?
I didn't do the Q&A because we you see, this is why communication is important, guys.
Okay.
Because we are starting something new today, and
we ain't starting nothing new. It's still
we're not starting. We're going in a different direction, sort of, kind of. And we talked about the Q&A, and so I was like, okay, today we won't do the Q&A.
Okay.
Yes, you see, I don't have my iPad.
I see you don't have your iPad. That's all right. Well,
but if you guys have questions, put your questions in the
so we'll deal with
with
questions in the comments, and see where that takes us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we go.
So silly.
This is we like to show it to y'all in action. Like, this no fluff. This isn't us trying to be pretentious or pretending about anything. Sometimes we get signals crossed and calendars crossed and what have you, and you got to work through that. Yeah. And so I'm excited about today's topic because it is something. You know what? God keeps giving us frameworks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is, you can't get no closer to the definition of what this looks like with a framework. Mm-hmm. And so people really want to know, okay, forget y'all's story. We know y'all been through hell and back, and we know that y'all are good coaches, and but how can we build a solid marriage?
Right.
Period.
Right.
Right.
We know the problem. What is the solution?
What is the solution?
Period.
And man, God just boom, dropped the solution in our lap. Just boom. And you need to thank God. I think you should thank God, because that's how he does. Like, he uses people to be able to help us out in so many different areas of our lives. And I'm hoping he's using us. I hope tonight he uses us to really add like a significant amount of value. So before we get started, how do I want to do this? Well, I want to tell just a quick story, right? And that story is to help put all of this and frame it and put it in context, right? So God said to me, this is why people are having trouble in their marriages. Like why marriages don't look like they want it to look. Because we want a marriage to look a certain way. I think we're mature enough to know that it's not the fairy tale look, but we don't want it looking horrible. Right? And so there's a certain horrible. Right. There's a certain look that we want. So I got my guy, my baby bro, Jake Strickland. He's like my son brother. I got son brothers or brother sons, right? And he's one of them. He'll understand this analogy that I'm about to share. So back in the day, we know Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's an amazing. He's been an amazing actor. He's been a politician. He's very active in fitness and health and things of this nature. He's been on presidential councils and all of that, right? And back when Arnold first came to this country, he had a string of being Mr. Universe in the bodybuilding competition. So he's, bodybuilding, building muscles, working out, weights, all of that. Right. And there was, Franco Columbo was back then, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, who was the Hulk, the original Hulk in the TV series, right? He was a bodybuilder in that time too. But Arnold was whipping, before he became a movie star, Arnold was whipping everybody's butts for like 3-4 years straight in a row. Like, I think he had 4, maybe 5. I don't know. I don't know the numbers. But there was something that was special about Arnold. And the thing that was special about Arnold was he had what they called, they used a word to describe Arnold. And that word was symmetry. He had symmetry. So his shoulders compared to his waist, compared to his back, compared to his legs, compared to his calves, compared to his arms, all made sense. He didn't have a big old back, big wide back, and little scrawny shoulders. He didn't have huge quadriceps and then had little bitty calves, right? So he was considered symmetrical. And that was the beauty of Arnold, because Lou Ferrigno was big. Lou Ferrigno was a big boy, but he was big for no reason at all in certain places. Like it didn't make sense. A modern place where we see what I'm talking about right now, I don't know if you're going to laugh or smack me in my face.
Oh, gosh.
Right? But a modern place we see that now is with BBLs. The artificial butts that women are getting in plastic surgery. So they'll see women and they'll have these big butts, right? But then they'll have little bitty legs.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, that don't look right. That is unattractive, right? So you think, all men want is big butts.
Right.
I married you because your butt.
I know.
I mean, you got a nice butt, right? But it wasn't just your butt. It was your butt in relationship to your hips, in relationship to your waist, in relationship to your legs, in relationship to your upper body. Like that was what made you attractive to me. That's what made me, on the physical side of things, what made me want to holler at you. Right? And so, it's another, when we first moved to Huntsville, when we were in Huntsville, remember there was a string of time where all the guys in like the neighborhood, they might have had a Caprice. Right? But then they had these big old 26-inch rims and wheels.
Yes. Yeah.
Excuse me. Some people like that, but most people didn't. You know why? Because they didn't have symmetry. Right? The wheels were just too big for the frame and the design of that particular car.
Right.
So God deposited this in us. Just how do you build a marriage that is successful, that is thriving, that is amazing, that a wife or a husband that you want to come home to and that you're excited about? You have to introduce symmetry in your marriage in order for it to look like you want it to look.
Yeah.
Like as you envision it in your head, like I want a marriage and I want this and I want to be able to come home to this, right? You want to come home to a wife that brings symmetry to what you are bringing to the marriage.
Yeah.
Talk to me. What you think?
Well,
I mean, I just want to know what you think about the concept holistically.
no, I mean the concept is a dope concept. I mean, it is accurate.
I want you to
it's
tell
not
the people
even about.
what you think.
It's not even about me bringing to the marriage what you're bringing. It's about bringing what is needed, more so what is needed. I'm not trying to match you or compete with you.
Or you're not trying to duplicate necessarily.
Right.
But you do want to match my effort. You want to match. You know what's the term that Darga
not
talk
equal
about?
giving, but equal sacrifice,
right?
Yes.
And so, if we don't do that, and we're gonna break.
I got caught up in your talking.
Oh, you out of it now? You good? You gonna contribute now? Right? Instead of the goal is with symmetry to look very similar from one side to the next and proportional one side to the next, right? So, back another example, and ladies, y'all will be able to get this. Remember when the women wanted the asymmetrical haircuts, right? They had the bob. It didn't look the same from side to side. It didn't look right. They thought that was fly, and it was fly for a period of time. But then folks came back to, something. Let's bring some symmetry back to beauty, so that it makes sense. I don't know how long we can stay in that asymmetrical view of things, and so, man, I'm excited. And so God gave us 6 areas that we think help to make up a healthy the components of a healthy marriage, right? We gotta give that caveat.
Right.
Just because you have these doesn't mean you're going to have a healthy marriage. You need to have these in proportion, and you need to have them equally. You don't need to mirror each other, but you need to be bringing something to the table that brings about this level proportion of these areas.
Yeah, and it's the work is really because one of those areas may be more important to you and another one may be more important to me, right? So that's why, number one, the foundation of communication is so important as we discuss these areas. And really, this is going to be, this really could be a year-long series that we do with you guys, because we're going to go through the 6 components and then give a tool under each component that you could begin to start using today, so that you could go ahead and begin to heal and grow and figure it out and work through it together. But so of course the spiritual component.
Hold on. Right?
Okay.
Come on, Mama.
Okay.
So the 6 areas of what that we believe will provide emotional, a more cohesive marriage relationship are now go. You just jump right into stuff.
The spiritual.
Set them up, baby.
Right. Spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, financial, and sexual. Those are the 6 components.
Tell them again.
So spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, and sexual.
right? So we've just based off of the research. These are kind of the six core competencies or 6 areas, however you want to describe it. These are the 6 areas that you need in order to make sure that you have a thriving marriage, a successful marriage, and a marriage that you want to see. Now, here's the interesting part. When you add the variable of symmetry, I need to be spiritual and she needs to be spiritual. That spirituality might show up in different ways, but it needs to show up in a significant way. It's no way, I don't care if you are a Christian married to a Buddhist, or if you're a Muslim married to a Hindu, if you are not practicing Judaism and Christianity, or Islam and Christianity, or Christianity and Christianity, if you are not both practicing them and really undergirding that aspect of who you are as a human being, now you're non-symmetrical or offset or asymmetrical. Y'all not looking the same. It's not. That's just like having one big bicep and one big arm that has a good bicep and a good tricep, and then one arm that only has a good bicep, and right, and doesn't have a decent sized tricep, right? So it's off. So I don't care how you get to the intensity or the equal sacrifice, but you have got to get there. And I'm just using spirituality as an example. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was going to say, just to keep it close to home, right? We're talking about,
and make sure y'all sharing this right now, because you're not getting this nowhere else right now. Somebody you know needs to hear this. Sorry to cut you off. No, somebody you know needs to hear this. Somebody you know needs to get this game right now, because it's going to save their marriage. Tell them to tune in to Instagram if they don't have YouTube. Somehow get to YouTube. My Marriage is Dope podcast. We are live there. And then either on Instagram or TikTok, go share this or stop what you're viewing, share it, and come back. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say to make it hit home. When we see the lack of symmetry, that's when people are saying, "Oh, we're not compatible."
Yes.
Right, and that's why we tell people, in marriage, there's no such thing as compatibility.
Yes.
Right? You're missing the symmetry. So I'm looking at the fact that we are not the same spiritually, right? Our level, just using spirituality, right? And so then I'm like, man, we're not on the same level. So something is wrong with that. Right? There's something wrong with, it's causing challenges in the marriage. And so, once something causes challenges in the marriage, we can either say we're not compatible, or we can say, okay, how do we get on the same page?
Right.
Right? How do we create symmetry between us? What would that look like? Right? And listen, let me tell you, this is the challenge. The challenge is some of these areas might challenge us.
Right.
Right? Some of us aren't as sexual. Some of us don't want to work out. Some of us can care less about feeding our spirit. We would rather be entertained.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
So now you have to say, well, that's what you like, and this is what I like. But if what you like and what I like within the same thing is causing issues, you cannot stay in your seat of, well, this is me and this is how it is. If you want a healthy and a happy relationship. And it's so crazy because so many people, I don't know why people have this mindset of, this is just who I am. I shouldn't have to change. If you are in a relationship, if you are in a marriage, to have the mindset of, I don't need to change, I don't need to compromise, any of that, that is just ass backwards. Completely. Right? And so we want you guys to see that there's actually joy coming into symmetry with one another. It really is, right? And that is all about perspective. I was talking to somebody today and I'm like, perspective is your superpower. because you can look at your spouse and see where they are different than you and begin to demonize, begin to think that something's wrong with them, you married the wrong person, or you can say, how can we use this to our advantage and how can we grow together?
Can I tell you what the Holy Spirit dropped on me?
Tell me.
Oh my goodness. So what bodybuilders do, right? Right? So we're Christians. We're unapologetically Christians, right? So but I can only tell you my experience, right? And then you apply it in whatever way you feel you need to apply it in your life, whatever your spiritual base is. So this is what a good bodybuilder will do. A bodybuilder that wants to compete on a high level and win. Bodybuilders pose, right? They'll be working out. And then, let's say they're working on a particular body part. They will go in the mirror and pose.
Right.
And they'll look and see, okay, how am I, let's say I'm working on arms. How am I symmetrical now? And it's like, ooh, like I can see that one arm is a little.
They stay in the mirror.
Right, they stay in the mirror.
Yeah.
The mirror in a relationship for us is Christ.
Yes.
If we stay in Christ,
Yes.
right? Christ is a reflection. He is, because we're standing in his perfection. And when we stand in his perfection, we see our imperfections. And when we see our imperfections, we can say, bodybuilders don't say, oh, I'm going to stop
They just
working
say,
out
okay,
because,
I got it
I need to, let me see here. All right. Okay, I know I need to focus on. I need to focus on this, and this is the way I need to focus on. Right. I don't need to just go in and just start pounding my arms. Right. I need to be very strategic because I want to work this outer edge, not the inner. And I was using the triceps as an example. I want to work this outer tricep as opposed to the inner tricep. But the only place I can see that is in the mirror. Right? Even if somebody is looking at me and telling me, oh, okay, you need to do this, boom, boom, boom. For me, because I actually have to do the work, actually being in the mirror and seeing where the deficiencies are is going to, it's like, why work out at a gym where you're not measured by anything. You don't get to see what your progress is and what have you. Yeah. Now, contrary to that, CrossFitters, I love CrossFit.
Yes.
Right? CrossFitters don't have mirrors. Right? But you have certain CrossFitters that have won multiple times, but they've won multiple times because they have been very, very good in multiple areas, not just very, very good weightlifting, not just very, very good with gymnastics, not just, but they're very, very good in all the areas. And the numbers are their mirrors. When they're looking at, okay, how was I able to perform with this movement or this exercise? So now we are coming up with a framework for the marriage relationship that says, okay, spiritually, how am I measuring up spiritually? Well, the Bible tells us by their fruits you'll know them, right? And so you'll be able to see in someone's life if they are living the stuff that they say they believe. Man, I'm, talk to me. You getting caught up. You
No.
You listening. I need you to talk.
Because there's so much going on in my head, right? But
you're processing.
I am processing, and I'm thinking. I'm actually thinking like the people who are listening to us. What would some of their questions be, right? And I'm thinking. I know for sure some people may be saying, but what if it's one of those areas is just a weakness for my spouse? Then what? What do I do? How do I handle
You can't
that?
do nothing except be a support to them. And hopefully if you've even begin this process, you will set up a a communication flow that will allow you to speak honestly to each other about where you think you are. That's the beauty about CrossFit. When you're in a CrossFit gym, they speak to each other very frankly, and the numbers don't lie, right? So it's like, hey, we're not growing. You're this number for this 2 mile run has got to be better. The number is telling, when you put your bicep up and you look who won Mr. Universe last year. Put your bicep up and put their bicep up. Does it look the same? No. I'm right. So you have to establish, man, we take stuff so personal.
Yes, we do.
Like we are really not mature in the relationship that people are not finding maturity in the relationships that they're in. Because you should be able to point out without being tit for tat, without just, well, your arms are big. Well, your arms not big. Well, you're ain't nobody's doing that. Nobody has the time because everybody wants to be better. So they want to be told where the deficiencies are so that they can be better. And so one of the ways that to answer that question, you got to establish a relationship that says we can speak our mind in this environment in love and really, tell each other the truth.
I actually think that is one of the areas that we've been really growing in, especially this past year, 2 years. And it's so interesting because speaking my truth, sometimes I'm so concerned about how it would affect you. But then over time, I realize it's still affecting you, but it's going to affect you down the line because me not speaking my truth, it is going to come out. Right. And so
in some way, shape or form.
And so when we look at these areas, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, and sexual, one of the things that we suggest that you guys do is to get a journal. Right. And we're going to break down these areas a little bit for you. But we definitely suggest that you get a journal because this does not remember everything. Right. And this is something we want you to put into action to really. This isn't just, it's a podcast. It was a good podcast to, a Monday night podcast and you keep going about your business. No, we want you to understand that wherever you are in your marriage, if you are just hanging on by a thread, that can change. There are caveats, right? Like if you just married just a no good human being, listen, you have to leave everything to God, right? But that you definitely got to leave to God. But you could still do the work, right? And if you're in a great marriage, you can still be better. And so we want you guys to get a journal and write down these 6 areas. And then we want each of you to discuss how you feel about each area. The area that you feel you're strongest in and the area that you feel you're weakest in. And compare, right? Because you want to be able to see, right? Even though but when you see it, it's different and you work on it differently. You want to be able to see, wow, we're really not right. Matter of fact, number them 1 through 6, strongest to weakest, and see where you guys match up at, right? And then go and go from there. Because as much as you can, and this may seem like it's impossible or it's just hard to do. So many things that's hard to do, and we're doing them every day, right? So don't make an excuse for this, your marriage, the most important relationship that you have, to not be one of those things that you're going to choose to work on. So do you want to start breaking down
Yeah, by all means.
Breaking down the... Right, we're going to just talk about the importance of them and the benefits of them.
So we started off out the gate with spirituality, right? Because to me, that's the bedrock. That's the foundation. But see, there's a mistake because you would think that, okay, it would be best, I believe, that you share a belief system, right? That would be, the whole idea of quote unquote being equally yoked.
Yes.
The design of that is not to rule people out and, oh, you can't be with this person because y'all don't believe.
No.
It just would be easier. How can two people walk together unless they agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So, but there are, even if you're not, if you don't have two Christians living in the same household, the distillation of a spiritual belief system is a good moral foundation. If you believe that we should be kind to other humans, right? You want to share that belief, that value, on a fundamental level. If you feel like you should help feed the poor, or if you see someone that is in need, that's a fundamental Christian tenet, right? But you should share that, and if you don't share it, you should ask why. Like, why? What is it that? Let's get to the root of why, when we see people in need, I want to help them out, and you could care less about them. What is that based off of? And if you are living that thing, if you're living whatever your spiritual foundation is, that's going to lead you to want to help humanity, period. I don't care what you believe. If you're an atheist and you just believe in right and wrong, the right thing to do when seeing someone in need is to help them. And so hopefully you can get on the same page and become symmetrical in your shared belief system of being able to be philanthropic and help humanity, especially when you see there's a need.
And what I love about the spirituality piece is that it's a great coping mechanism. Every person on the planet has a coping mechanism. And when we look at them, sex, alcohol, drugs, shopping, gambling, right? All of those things are unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Can be.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
If it's a coping mechanism,
right? If it's a coping
mechanism, right? In context, right? Coping mechanism. But from a spiritual place, right? That's the place, personally, that's the place where I like to go. That's the place where I get my peace. That's the place where I'm like, how I treat Shannon is how I'm treating Christ. And I don't want to treat Christ like that. I don't want to disrespect Christ and make Christ feel a certain way. And so that's a reflection. My king, my king. It's all a reflection. And so for me, that's like that coping mechanism helps me to be accountable, right? And so just spiritually, when we both have that coping mechanism, it really trickles down to all the other 5 elements.
Yeah, that trickles down or undergirds.
Yes, because
right? However you want to look at it.
A foundation, right? What are you building your foundation on? Your relationship. What is the foundation of your marriage? And I don't want to say if it's not spiritual, then right, but I will say it is hard. We have been in a marriage that the foundation was not spiritual, and
even though we were both raised in the church.
Yes, absolutely.
So we both went to church. We went to church. We took our boys to church.
Yeah.
But that you cannot take that because you're doing religious stuff does not make you have a strong spiritual foundation.
Right.
So spirituality is an area, we've discovered spirituality is one of those areas where you need to be symmetrical. Emotional. There is guys, listen, no matter what, no matter how you cut it, we are dealing with emotional creatures. Although we are emotional, we have to, where that emotional nature has to be presented to the world in a different way. Who we are married to, they can present their emotions in a way, that they were designed to present them. And you can't get around it. And if you do not have a deep, abiding trust and a secure environment, you will have emotional upheaval, emotional instability, and emotional asymmetry. You will lack symmetry if you cannot build an environment that is rooted in deep trust and security. Talk about that, babe.
Also, the effective communication, right? When we're talking about emotionally, you want to be able to know that I can trust my spouse's word. My spouse is going to be honest with me. I'm going to be honest with my spouse. We will speak our truth. We will not see. A lot of times we try to protect each other, but we're hurting each other. And so you have to be able to ask yourself, am I really trying to protect me? And that's what it really boils down to a lot of times, right? And so when we're talking about being emotional and effective communication is the speaking your truth. It is the listening. It is the understanding. It is that I think we talked about it last week, seeking to understand and then to be understood, right? Stephen Covey, like, great book, broke that down. Like, really, this is my thing. And listen, as a woman, a lot of times we will cut a man off. And that's one of the biggest challenges that men, our experience of all these years of coaching and just talking to men and women, men say one of the biggest challenges that they have with their partner, she will cut him off, especially when she doesn't like what she's hearing. It makes her feel a certain way. She'll feel like she's being attacked when he's simply speaking his truth, right? And so I encourage all of us, but I'm talking to my sisters, a lot of times men are just, we can be direct too, right? So it's, but a lot of times men are just direct. They're just going to say what they're going to say. And my thing is just listen to what is being said. We can deal with how you're saying it, but if you keep focusing on how he is saying it, he's eventually going to shut down, and then he's not going to say anything, and now you have another thing to complain about, right?
Hold on, real quick. Just pause. Listen, Instagram and TikTok, we're going to let you guys go. Come and join us over on My Marriage is Dope podcast on YouTube. We are live right now. All right, but we got to let you go. My Marriage is Dope on YouTube. Come on over. Let's finish the conversation there. All right, guys.
Peace.
So another area that is an integral part of how we coach couples is you have to have a high empathetic quotient.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Empathy is so important for you to just be able to that's just simply understand where somebody is coming from.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But going through those stages of empathy allows you, the 3 stages of empathy allows you to not move from this a cognitive realization of how someone is feeling or understanding of how someone is feeling, but that will now be moving you to action. Right? Most people just don't want you to understand. Most people want you to either change your behavior. Most people want to not only change your behavior, but change your heart. So we don't want you to just change your behavior. We want you to want to change your behavior. We want you to not treat me like this anymore, or me treat you like this anymore. Right? Not just stop doing it.
Right.
And so this complex aspect of emotions. Remember, we believe that men are equally as emotional as women. It just shows up in the world differently. It has to, because of the nature of the responsibility that is on our shoulders on a day-to-day basis.
And I want to say about empathy, the thing that is so important about empathy, we have to understand that we're sending messages every day. Every day we are sending messages to our spouse, and they're receiving messages, and sometimes they're not even saying anything, right? But they're taking it in, and then over time, it's going to come back to bite you. And when there's a lack of empathy, what you're really saying is, I don't care.
I don't care.
That is the worst feeling. I'm sure you all know what it feels like to have somebody treat you a certain way, and you're like, dang, you just really don't care. Right? And so it's just important to really slow down. Like life is going so fast, y'all. But we encourage you guys to really just, when it comes to your relationship, your marriage, slow down. Because a lot of us are just responding so quickly because we're just going. And how we're showing up, it is not benefiting us. It's not.
So the next area is mentally. Right? Mentally, if we are, no one wants to be around, someone that can't conjugate a verb, that don't read no books and can't have no really a decent conversation, that can't problem solve, that has no focus on emotional health, right? So one of the areas mentally is we want to be intellectually stimulating, right? It's sometimes we have these conversations and it's like, it really does challenge us to have to think about what we're saying. And sometimes we'll have a debate, and that's like a little intellectual, sparring. Because if you want to, the goal is to debate, but have it be a friendly, fun debate where it's respectful and you're not, calling each other out your names and raising your voices and all that.
And what helps with that, one of the things that we recently started doing was reading books together. That really helps with the mental stimulation, the intellectual stimulation. We'll send videos, right, and say, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this? We also, which connects with the spiritual piece, we have the Bible app, and we'll send Bible texts, the Bible text of the day. And sometimes we talk about it, sometimes we just heart it, right? But it's stimulating, right? We're giving each other something to think about, to chew on, right? And also we're connecting as we do this. So
problem solving, getting together to come up with a solution to a problem, but doing it together, right? Of course we can. What's the purpose of having a partner if you cannot come to each other reciprocally and say, hey, I got this challenge. What do you think about it? Hey, I'm going through this at work, or I'm experiencing this at home, or just really, we have a project. We want to put up an accent wall, or we want to redo this, or we want to redo some floors where you got some measuring you got to do. You got to think about the design concept. You have to bounce these things off of each other. This is all a part of the mental stimulation that is needed in order to be have a well-rounded, thriving marriage relationship. And
I say this too. Sometimes you're so great at what you do, you really don't even you may talk to your spouse about your day, but you may not ever ask them what are your thoughts about X, Y, and Z, because you're just such an expert. But I would say find something that is important to you to pull out and to draw them in so that they can feel like, oh, I'm a part of my spouse's, whatever you have project or whatever it is that you have going on. Maybe you hold a seat in office, whatever it is, right? You want your spouse to feel like they are a part of, that's part of mental stimulation, right? So.
And mental stimulation is very tied to your emotional health.
Oh gosh.
It all just kinds of, you will find that these 6 areas, but then the sub areas within the 6 areas all kind of work together to weave a strong web of support for that area, and then they all, and within the confines of the framework, it all works together to strengthen the entire framework. Financially is number 4. Right?
Yeah.
This whole folks that have separate money. Now, don't get me wrong. You should have separate bank accounts. I believe that it's fine to have separate bank accounts, but you should have an account that money goes into, that the care and what's needed for the family comes from those finances. But if you don't have those conversations, if however it works, if you're not working it together, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and the whole not talking about it, literally, financial stability helps to create security, especially for a woman. And finances is one of the biggest challenges in relationships.
One of the top reasons for divorce.
One of the top reasons. But it's like when you don't have it, you're afraid to talk about it. Right? So we're spending money, but we're not talking about it.
Well, one of the reasons why I think that we don't talk about it, for me, for the longest time, shame was attached to money. Like bad credit was a shameful thing. And bills, it was a whole mindset for me. And so as a result of openly talking about it, it made it much more difficult. And then it's when, the stuff is hitting the fan that you got to break down, and now you got to talk about it and come up with solutions. So, but that's security and stability that the financial conversation and financial symmetry brings is invaluable aspect of what we're talking about as it relates to the strong relational health.
And part of that conversation is really understanding your relationship with money, just like what Shannon said, right? Because that was one of our challenges, and I'm thinking like pulling my hair out, because why are we not talking about this? Why, right? You're saying something to me about the money I'm spending, but you're not talking to me about the money, right? But if I had have known, or we had have known and really talked about, man, what is your relationship with money? How do you feel about money? Like what are your fears concerning money, right? Like these are the conversations that you need to have with one another. Again, this is a point of intimacy, sidebar, right? But
effective communication. So that feeds into the emotional side of right pillar.
The trust, right? We're trusting each other with something so sensitive. Money is so sensitive, whether you have it or not, right? And so, this one we can really stay on all day, because it really is a thorn in a lot of people's side, especially how men view money and how men think women view money, and how those dynamics alone, And
remember, guys, as we move forward, we're in future episodes, we're going to be giving you actionable steps in each of these areas to be able to strengthen and bolster up that particular area, so that you can. So we're like giving you the exercises to do, or the area to work on, and you got to go put the work in, so that, and you both have to put the work in, so that you can build that particular area, right? Achieving a mutual goal, like being able to set hey, we want to save for this, or we want to do this, right? Being able to talk about it. How are we doing? How close are we to the goal? What more do we need to do? Well, maybe if we don't talk about it, then you might not know, hey, well, let me try to do this, and this, so that we can achieve this goal, quicker or easier, or take some of the stress off of you, or whatever. But having mutual goals will help with that. It could be vacation. It could be a financial goal for savings. It could be so many different things. But it's a goal that you share together. You can have your individual goals, but sharing your goals together. Amazing.
And one of the challenges that we've faced with other couples, because we coach high earning entrepreneurs, sometimes the one spouse will say, well, this is what I want to do, and go do it, but does not involve the spouse until later down the line when the money is spent, right? And so we just encourage you not to have fear about that. If there's a project, right, remember, you want to be on the same page. We're talking about symmetry here. You don't want to bring any contention into your home. That's not the goal, right? And so don't be afraid to say, hey, babe, I have this idea. What do you think about it? And on the flip, don't be afraid to spend the money if your spouse has the plan. This is what they see. This is what they've envisioned. It's all planned out. They're sharing the plan with you. It's not just some arbitrary want to do something. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but let's just spend the money type thing, right? Like, we can't be afraid to go out on a limb, right? And we can't be afraid to talk about the things that are near and dear that we want to do. You have one life, y'all, right? You can't take the money with you. If your spouse has something that they feel will take your family to the next level financially, you have to take the risk. Listen, 3 years ago, we spent $10,000 and probably about $12,000 on something to help grow Marriage Inc., and it didn't work out, right? That was the risk that we took. Y'all, we don't have money. Like, we're not swimming in money, but we had to take risks. And listen, we've taken risks since then as well, because we are passionate about this and we're trying to figure it out. And so we're learning, right? And so neither one of us was like, oh, we shouldn't. Was I disappointed in? Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But ever say that it was something I held over his head, right? Because it was a risk that we took, right? So,
and we definitely, we not know that's your money, that's my money, right? And sometimes I have to make her like, babe, I will say that's your money. Do something for yourself, because she's not going to normally do something for herself. She's going to do something for me, for the boys, for her friends or other people. Money, do blah 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 blah, right? But we have to understand that, you know, you have to have those conversations. And another main reason why you want to have those conversations, because you want to create the kind of financial freedom. We want to create the kind of freedom that comes with financial stability and financial conversations that helps to bring that stability, and it brings about freedom and opportunity. You want to be able to travel. You don't want to be, I don't want to be stuck at no desk all the time. I don't want, if we're making money, I don't want
to be using these. Right
come on, passports.
Come on, passports.
That's mine. Don't be showing my passport.
That's yours, y'all. Listen, y'all.
She's so proud of her little passport. Not little.
I just got my passport. Can y'all see that? I just got my passport. I'm excited.
So we get a chance that we can get up and go now, right? But we have to put ourselves in a type of position that will allow that to happen. And the only way you can have that, if you build that financial pillar just as strong as these other pillars, right? Now, here's the interesting. These next two are really interesting. The last two are really interesting because they might seem like they're the same, but they're not the same.
Yes.
You got the physical pillar and you have the sexual pillar. And they are two different pillars. The physical pillar has everything to do with your health, your fitness, your nutrition, all of those things that will help you have a strong marriage for a long time, where you are not walking around and grunting and hurting, and you, baby, let's go let's go to someplace that requires us to work. Let's go to Disney. I don't want to go to Disney. All that walking, or you sitting around in scooters, you run. Don't nobody want to do that.
Take care of yourself physically.
Right. So the goal is to improve health and longevity. It's to you want to reduce stress. You want to reduce stress.
Yes.
Right. The physical side of things will allow you to stress reduction, and then it allows you to experience things together. It allows you to share in whatever it is. It could be bowling. It could be skiing. It could be just walking. But you're together. And that together, builds intimacy, allows you opportunities to communicate. You can talk about your where you are spiritually. You can play mental, intellectual game. Once again, it feeds into the whole concept of this symmetrical marriage that you are trying to build. And this pillar is once again equally as strong. And just coming from I know if I would have focused on this pillar in a way that I should have personally, then I wouldn't have experienced some of the health issues that I've experienced. Flat out.
Yeah. Yeah. And physically, we really have to support one another. A lot of times we just, I don't want to say allow our spouses to just live however, but food is my thing. Like, that's my thing. And, there are times where my husband, he would have to say, honey, you don't need to be eating that. Right? That's how we support each other physically. I say the same thing to him. He will binge on some ice cream and some paydays. And I'm like, come on now.
I ain't had no paydays in a minute.
You have not had paydays in a minute.
Why you say payday? Why you shouldn't
right?
even say it?
Walking, because we're getting older, walking, exercising. Shannon has a bike. You got to bring your bike upstairs so you can get on your bike, right? So that's the physical. So that the goal of that is to help you to live longer, God willing.
And that particular pillar, like all of these pillars, are going to really help you with the last pillar, which is sexual. Don't no woman want to have sex with you and you not a spiritual person. Don't no woman want to have sex with you and you not emotionally in tune. Don't no woman want to have sex with you if you can't stimulate her mind. If it's just always about her body and you busting a nut. If she financially go ahead.
No woman want to have sex with you if she the one bringing home the bacon and you sitting on the couch scratching your nuts.
No, right. And then people be fat, stank, nasty, out of shape and still be wanting to have sex, but the kind of sex you want to have, the kind of full, fulfilling, sexual, deeply intimate aspects of, freaky, all of the stuff that you want to do, you feel that you want to do, you got to be in shape to do that stuff. You can't be, and not just in shape. You don't have to be, Mr. Bodybuilder, whatever we were talking about before, but you should, your blood pressure shouldn't be all high. Right? You shouldn't have, a neuropathy in your legs because you were diabetic. Right? All of those things are tied to your health. And that is tied to a meaningful, communicative, physically enjoyable, deeply intimate sexual pillar.
Yep. And listen, with the sexual piece too, communicate. People are afraid to communicate about that, and sex people are afraid. Listen, if it ain't feeling good, you need to tell the joker or your queen, hey babe, this is how I like it.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. That this is how you like it. Just say it. And listen, ma'am, sir, stop taking it personal. You thinking you doing something and your spouse is sitting there like, you ain't doing nothing. And then when they finally do open up and share with you, then your ego gets in the way. My thing is, do you want to please your spouse or not? If you want to, let them teach you. We should be able to talk about any and everything. Every aspect of our life. So, that's just, and listen, I'm speaking from experience. I never liked to talk about sex. From my childhood stuff, that's just one of the things that got affected, right? And I've learned, thank God, because this one, he could talk about it all the time, right? And because of that, it has helped to open me up to be able to say, whatever it is that I need to say. And all that has done is just helped our relationship.
They're intelligent conversations about sex. They're not just... It's not just...
hold up now. Hold up.
Phallic symbols all over the place and just... right. So, but yes, these areas, spiritual, emotional, mental, financial, physical, and sexual pillars are those pillars that will work together to make you have an outstanding, strong, thriving marriage. I promise you.
They will.
If you get in shape in these areas, if you get in the mirror, if you measure these things against some rubric, you will be able to have the kind of marriage that people are talking about not even wanting to get married. I mean, this is a statistic out now that there are fewer people getting married now than not. And this is the reason, because there is no foundational understanding of what a healthy marriage is supposed to look like. A thriving marriage is supposed to look like. And this is that.
And this is the thing. The beautiful thing about it is it's what you create. Right? You don't right? So many people look at us and I'm like, listen, praise God, but we hadn't arrived. We're not doing, I say this all the time, we're not doing this work because we've arrived. This is a forever journey. You create what you want. How do you want your marriage to look? Right? So you take these 6 components and you talk about it and you say, hey, where do we need to strengthen our marriage? What will that look like for us? What is it that you want? What is it that I want? And how can we make it all come together and happen? Period. If I care enough about Shannon, whatever area that I'm weak in, I'm going to make sure that I level up. And I do a little more than I did last year, last month, last week. Period. That's just what it is. And so, we just encourage you guys to be more focused on enjoying each other. Be more focused on meeting each other's needs. Be more focused on both of us submitting, both of us sacrificing, both of us doing whatever is necessary for us to actually be happy.
And look, by all means, do not avoid leg day. Right? That's our thing. We say when we have tough conversations during our coaching sessions, we tell them this is leg day. Most people try to avoid leg day like the plague. And when I say leg day, I mean lifting heavy, squatting, leg presses, leg curls, whatever. That hard, heavy exercises, because if you want to be strong in a particular area, you got to lift heavy stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Period. I didn't even want to say stuff, but I'm trying to clean up my language. Right? Come on, right? If you want to be strong, you got to lift heavy stuff.
Timmy.
All right, Timmy, enjoy your Bible study, right?
I hope we answered your question too.
Right? You got to lift heavy stuff if you want to be strong. It's going to be hard, but after a while, it's them hard workouts that are the most the ones that really hit you like oh, I did good. Like whew, it's so gratifying.
Yes.
Right, when you have those hard workouts. Right. So we want you guys, listen, jump in the chat right now if you have questions. We're gonna respond to some of these comments, but you gotta lift heavy stuff, y'all, if you want to be strong. So these 6 areas, you gotta do significant work, and we're gonna help you over the next few weeks and months to do that.
I gotta have the $1 million. Yeah, you could get the $1 million shirt.
And you get that when you come to the house.
Hey man, what's up, brother? We've outgrown each other. Sometimes feels like, excuse not, The key about the environment you mentioned is they believe in a sense of community, and people think marriage is.
Yeah, let's pause on that. Like, there is something to be said about community in marriage.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people avoid community in marriage because they don't want nobody in their business. But that avoidance causes your business to be even worse.
Right. And then everybody's in your business.
And then everybody's in your business because they know you, they see you, y'all dropping the kids off differently, y'all moving differently because y'all not together.
Right.
And so don't avoid the herd, what we call the herd. Don't avoid the community.
Yeah.
Connect to the community. Connect to a community.
Find
one.
Community.
Find one.
Yes.
I hope, Timmy, we answered the physical and sexual aspects as well.
You weak in the financial area. You have to.
That's Jake. That's Jake right there, by the way.
Oh, is it? What's up, Jake?
So Ashley speaks her truth. So you, listen, Jake. I hope you're listening. You gotta, especially when you're with someone that doesn't mind speaking their truth, they're not going to not understand you speaking yours, but you're in your head saying, oh, this is going to sound mean. It's going to sound, and you can speak your truth without being mean, without being nasty.
Yeah.
Those things are not synonymous. Speaking your truth and how you speak your truth.
Right.
Those things need to not be right. You can speak it, and you can speak it with love and kindness and understanding and empathy and all of that.
And let me
but it's your truth. Go ahead, babe.
No, I just want to say, man, Jake, I want you to understand you're hurting her more. You think you're hurting her by saying whatever it is that is on your heart to say. You are hurting her way more by not saying it. She wants you to speak your truth. When you speak your truth, then we can do something about it. Mm-hmm. If you don't say it, I can't change it. There's nothing I can do about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? And then that gives me a feeling that you don't even trust me. Mm. So now you're causing another breach in your intimacy. Mm-hmm. You understand? Like the cycle just continues. Mm-hmm. That's why we have to be careful about what we are responsible for. Everything, all the energy that we bring when we walk into a room, when we interact with another human being, that's our responsibility. You have to look at how am I showing up, and you're showing up in that way, hurting her more than helping her. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, no, this has been good, man. This has been good. Listen, remember, over the next few weeks, we are going, weeks and months and however long, it's going to be exhaustive, right? We're going to be talking about these, the action items in these areas. We're going to give you all some tips in these areas, in each area, for the foreseeable future, so that you can be strong in these areas.
And I want to say the reason why, we could just take next Monday and just give you guys some, right? But the reason why the amount that we have for each area, it literally can take a year. And this is the reason why. Because something may not resonate with you 3 weeks from now, but 10 weeks from now, something will hit and be like, dang, right? And it will resonate with you. So that's why we're giving so many different actionable steps in each area, so that you guys can begin to put the pieces of the puzzle together and create it's a word that I'm trying to think of.
What?
I guess the puzzle, right? That's what from a picture standpoint, that's what's coming to my mind. Like the puzzle, like put this, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, and it creates the perfect picture. Mm-hmm. That's why we want to give so many different ones, so that it will resonate with. Something will resonate with you guys.
We need something, and you'll be able to interchange. It's enough information that you should walk away from the whatever time frame it takes to give y'all the information, with the ability to live the life and have the marriage that you want to have with your spouse.
Sure.
This has been another episode of My Marriage is Dope podcast. I'm your host, Shannon, aka Big Shan, aka
Big Cheryl.
And this is Shirley.
Good girl.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
once
you
again.
guys. We appreciate you.